But Hampton Roads is taking more hits from sequestration today. Officials at Oceana canceled this year's air show, and the Air Force announced it is grounding about 1/3 of its aircraft. The sound of freedom is getting a little quieter across Hampton Roads.
Today's announcement from the Navy means you won't see the Blue Angels flying above Virginia Beach in September. The Navy says because of the budget crisis, it cannot commit to spending money on the air show and must focus the shift the focus, that is, to operational and fleet readiness. 10 on your side military reporter Art Kahn has been looking into this since the news broke. He joins us now live from Virginia Beach. Art?
Yeah, well, Nicole, as you know, the Blue Angels have been the star of this air show for many years. But as you alluded to a minute ago, these are very different times we live in. And the Navy has been forced to make some changes. That fact will impact not only air shows, but pilots service-wide, not just the Blue Angels. As much of a disappointment as this decision to cancel the Blues performance is, it really is not a surprise.
As the Navy prioritizes budgetary expenditures, we're going to look to prioritize the operational forces over the training forces or the public outreach forces. And the Blue Angels, really, they're not combat aviators anymore.
Not only will the Blue Angels be canceling performances, they will be spending less time in the cockpit altogether.
They've been cut down to 11 hours a month, which is what we consider the tactical hard deck, really the minimum amount of flying you do on a monthly basis and still remain some level of proficiency.
And it isn't just the Blue Angels that will see their flight time reduced. The Navy has already announced plans to have several carrier air wings stand down.
At some point, there's no substitute for getting into an airplane, but you bet there are other ways that the aviator's going to train around here, that's for sure.
Yeah, and not only is the Blue Angels performance here canceled, the remainder of their performances for the rest of the year have been canceled. Now, joining me is the longtime director of the air show here and former F-14 pilot, Richard Erie. We know him as Corky. Corky, you had a lot of other acts every year in this air show, and yet you're canceling the show. But history has shown there's really no reason to go on with this thing.
That's correct. Clearly, the Blue Angels are the #1 draw for any air show. They're the #1 jet team in North America. And our demographics indicate that about 81% of our guests come just to see the Blue Angels. So since we're a large-scale event that draws visitors from 23 states and 13 countries and all over the Virginia Beach area and Hampton Roads area, a lot of folks aren't going to make a trip if the Blue Angels aren't here.
Right, and you know, as I just mentioned, their performances for the rest of the year have been canceled. What about next year? I mean, are you holding out any hope for next year that we might be back in business?
Well, the Navy clearly values demonstrating the capabilities and professionalism of naval aviation and hopefully inspiring future sailors and Marines to join the military. So you can bet that the aerial demonstration teams will continue in the future, provided that the budget situation lets us do that.
Thank you, Richard. All right, we'll be keeping our fingers crossed for next year at least. Reporting live at Naval Air Station Oceana, Art Kahn. 10 on your side.